Power Conversations. This is a new segment, a new episode, new recurring theme that we're doing called Conversation Starter. It's going to be the power plays at the intersection of sports, tech, and business. As you know, we are your ultimate playbook for winning on and off the field by mastering the intersection of sports, business, and technology. Today, I have Darian Kelly with me. He's going to be my co-host for these segments. I'm definitely excited to have him on. How you doing today?
Man, I'm doing amazing, man. We're just getting into the start of the week. We're getting week three NFL season. A lot of great
Yeah.
college football. So it's making a lot of the things we're going to talk about much more exciting. But yeah, I'm excited to be a co-host on this. I'm happy to contribute, and I'm ready to kick things off, man.
No, it's definitely going to be a great episode, great recurring segment, and definitely with the football season, college football season, powering up, NFL kicking off. It was a wild game last night with Falcons and the Eagles. So yeah, we got a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about.
Sure.
So I'll definitely our first segment is a game changer segment, and that's going to be where we talk about things that are changing the industry, changing the game. And this one is the streaming dominance, right? It's the media rights deals that are shifting towards streaming platforms. The biggest game changer in the modern sports broadcasting isn't just the teams on the field, but the platforms and the broadcast that are broadcasting the games. Traditional broadcasters like ABC, ESPN, NBC, they've held the ground for years, right? But now we got the tech giants like Amazon, Netflix, YouTube. They're coming in and trying to stake their claim and reshaping how our fans consume sports. So my what I'm throwing to you is how does the rise of streaming platforms like Amazon, YouTube, Netflix, how are they impacting the sports industry? Where do you see streaming changing the way we're gonna consume sports?
Yeah, I think that streaming is going to continue to be a major factor within how we consume sports. You look at, as we mentioned, the current NBA media rights deal. You now bring in the aspect of Amazon Prime, which has already had its footprint
Mm-hmm.
or laid their foundations, particularly with Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that streaming is not only going to be a big part of it, but it creates a unique opportunity for those NFL fans that are already currently on those platforms. So if you're on a Amazon, utilizing Amazon Prime for just everyday items or whatever
Yep.
you would use Amazon
Yep.
Prime for, you're going to have access to now a sports offering. So I think it'll kind of serve both aspects of engaging those casual fans and also capitalizing on that advertising revenue and advertising opportunities that comes with streaming. So it's gonna be much more a part of the sports landscape than we can probably imagine moving forward.
No, that's absolutely correct. I was reading somewhere that 28% of fans in last year reported that they now watch games on streaming platforms, and that's up from 15% since 2019. So what that tells me is that everybody, like you always heard about cutting the cable, and that means
Mm,
that everybody is people are going to watch their sports. If
right.
there's one thing that they're going to do, they're going to watch their sports. So people that are concerned, like I think that they caught the older platforms like ABC or NBC off guard because they didn't realize that, hey man, if it costs, then they're gonna pay it.
Mm,
They're gonna make sure that they're able, especially with football, they're gonna make sure that they're able to watch their football games. They're gonna make sure they're able to watch their Thursday night games, their Monday night games. And we're starting to get Friday and Saturday. Like it's always all types of games that's coming on, and we're already streaming and cutting the cord, and that's something that people are going to ensure that they do. So it's definitely going to change the sports industry. It's going to change how we consume it. It's going to be big.
absolutely.
Yeah, and so one other thing that I am going to find interesting is how they're negotiating these media rights moving forward, and
Mm,
what that means to NCAA. I know we talked a little bit about this before with just how the smaller schools are going to move, or not even the smaller schools, but just the Power Five schools, and them negotiating the leverage with media deals.
Yeah, it's gonna. I think that when we, as we look at the college landscape in terms of streaming, for example, given that this is the first college football season, we're gonna have that 12 team college football playoff. You're gonna
Hmm.
start to see, some aspects of, if not this year, at some point later on down the line, these entities are gonna want to align themselves with streaming partners. And when you talk about the actual media rights deals from a college standpoint, I, to me, it seems like it makes you wonder, like, was the initial deals or the kind of the re-up, so to speak,
Hmm.
for particularly, like, for example, women's college sports,
Hmm.
right? Was it, did we particularly undervalue, the product,
Mm.
so to speak? Because I believe it was Coach Don Staley who was saying that, or not necessarily her specifically, but I think that people were, I don't want to misquote, but I think that there were critics who were more so pushing for there to be more like individual, like team rights deals versus like, okay, we're gonna do a singular deal for women's basketball and
Hmm.
women's softball, instead of, whereas though there are some sports that generate more revenue than others. So it's like,
Hmm.
how do we, value them in the greater context of these media deals as well? So I think it's interesting to think about is the value of sports now with these media rights deals.
Yeah, yeah, and I also think of just like when we talk about some of the larger schools like a Texas, right,
Right.
and how they already had their own network, right,
Mm.
and so how do they leverage them having their own network with media rights deals, right? Like they already have the infrastructure in place. They're going to give the blueprint to other schools and other universities on how they can monetize their own network and their own their own value, and raise
Yeah.
their value.
Yeah. I think that when, as you were, as you brought up Texas, a thought popped in my mind that I think, given you know given what we discussed, as far as like Texas having their own network, the Longhorn network was a traditional cable network, but now it's
Hmm.
actually a streaming platform. And
Hmm.
you think about the impact that's going to have on Texas from NIL standpoint, a recruiting standpoint. It's like if you're
Hmm.
an athlete, and you're playing, whether it's, basketball or football or any sport, really, it's like I want to align myself with an institution that already has a platform set up, within streaming, and creates more access to the fans, and that connection that's essential to NIL as well, as far as community building. I think it's more so like with Texas having their own streaming platform with the Longhorn Network and the innovation that they're already putting forth with NIL, they kind of have like more of a Cowboys feel to themselves of how like
Yeah.
they do business versus how other institutions are doing business, as far as like NIL and exposure, and just the infrastructure that they have in Austin is really unique to other schools in the country.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to create that fan base, and you have to create the community within the fan base. And I think that's going to be huge to how even from an NIL and a recruitment standpoint, right? Being able to use that as a recruiting tool. That we have our own network, we have our own platform, and we'll be able to help you monetize, as well as think about the exclusive content that comes in with that. Like
Mm.
there's going to be a opportunity for these people to create that exclusive content, which grows their brand, which also grows the opportunities for them to have NIL deals. Because if you think about, like you just said, a community, think about Texas network, and think about the local businesses to Austin that would want to advertise on those networks, which then opens up opportunities for those student athletes to get more NIL deals.
Yeah, and also too, I mean, you think about the tech influence that Austin has now, like
Yep.
all, it's becoming a major, market within tech,
Yep.
and a lot of what, they already have there, even on campus, they already have partnerships with the likes of Dell.
Yep.
So you already have that footprint already built out. You add on the streaming aspect, and you can take it to a whole nother level. So it's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting to monitor moving forward.
No, I definitely love it, love it, love it. We're gonna move on to the next segment, and that it leads right into it perfectly with the tech. So our next segment is tech hustle. Like we'll dive into different things that's going on in the sports industry dealing with tech. So immersive arenas is what we want to talk about next. New live immersive arenas like Cosm and Sphere. So the future of sports venues is already here and it's going to be used as immersive experiences. Tech marvels like Cosm and Sphere allow fans to not just only be spectators, but be a part of the game. Like you go into one of those. I've actually been to the Sphere out in Vegas, not
Mm,
necessarily for games, but I can
mm,
only imagine how a game would be in there. The venue combines high tech visuals, surround sound, real time analytics, and it creates an experience for the people that's viewing it. And transforms their live sports, right? So just think about you like I've been on the site to check it out, but you're able to get sections for your people, like so it's like almost like being in a sports bar but a club, right?
mm,
So you have all that tech at your disposal, and people come to your seat. You get your food, you get all your stuff, but you're also able to experience the game in a totally different way. So my question to you is, how do you think these futuristic sports arenas are going to redefine the live sports experience?
Yeah, I think that one of the more interesting stats that that stuck out to me is that 70% of fans under 35 said that they more likely to attend sports events and venues like a Cosm or a Sphere for the experience. I think that you know, on top of what we may get in a live, a live event, live sporting event, I think that more people, because as you mentioned, because there's so many opportunities that a sphere or a venue can offer, then I think on the flip side, there's so much data that can be collected, from those individuals that go to those events. So you know what
Yep.
types of drinks people are ordering, you know what,
Yep.
and I think that you'll see more of this in the sense of, with sports books. I think that the sports books will evolve in the sense of, the venues there will be more unique venues and ways to consume it, to consume sports along and having the sports betting aspect on top of it. So it's going to be interesting to see how these things evolve. But I'd say the sports betting industry is like a space that's ripe for these like new interactive venues when it comes to data.
I think you hit it spot on. I think you bring up a great point. Just it goes hand in hand. You
Right.
always got to follow the money. I was reading something. It said the global immersive experience market is projected to reach 180 billion by 2026, with sports venues being the major driver in the growth. And so,
Mm,
what that tells me, with that number, along with the sports betting number, if you look anywhere, everybody's advertising sports betting. So from DraftKings to Underdog
mm,
to any other sports book that you can think of. I know
mm,
Jay Z and Mike Rubin just did a deal, with Fanatics. And if you think about those two things, they're going to merge together and they're going to intertwine and they're going to do business. It is
mm,
only right that they partner together, because it's two things that go hand in hand. And if you think about those venues and then you add in the ability to show multiple games, to be able
mm.
to show to have analytics there while you're trying to place your bets, it is a no-brainer. And that's where the future is for sports betting and for these immersive sports venues.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand, and I think the more as we evolve and within the sports betting landscape, and not even just with sports betting, but just more so as arenas and stadiums evolve. I think that it's going to challenge a lot of franchises, particularly teams, to have that pressure, not pressure, but push them to do more to satisfy the fans, so to speak. Out on top of just the sports betting aspect, it's like how can you leverage technologies in these particular venues to make the fan experience a lot better, in a sense. So it is going to be interesting to see how this evolves, and we'll be able to monitor this moving forward.
Yep. No. And the other thing that I was thinking about is just from the standpoint of and we touched on this before, but from a college standpoint, um,
Mm,
there's going to be a level of immersive experiences that are going to be prime for college games, right?
mm,
Because you got to think about college atmosphere that you're not
mm,
necessarily able to experience. And then if
mm.
you can imagine the Red River Shootout for Texas Oklahoma, and you're able to see that, you see that Longhorn riding out on the field, but you're seeing it up close and personal, not just on the TV, but
Mm.
it's in, like, because like I said, I like those screens, and it feels like you're right there.
Right.
It also even like it utilizes like things like air and what I'm saying, like mist and things of that nature
Yeah.
to make it feel like you're there. And then you have the surround sound, the investment of like, so the college game day atmosphere, utilizing that technology is going to be second to none. And I think that's going to be big for growing the college brands, and the people in the organizations that use that right are going to
Mm.
be like a step ahead. So I think it's going to
For
be big.
sure. Sure.
Yep. And so the next segment that we have is going to be the power playbook. So this is where we look at a little case study. This one is the House versus NCAA settlement. And so the recent, for people who don't know, the recent House versus NCAA settlement is reshaping the world of college sports. This landmark case is not only changing student athletes, how student athletes can earn from NIL, but also opens up the floodgates for broader athletes compensation models in college sports. I do want to take some time to I want to make sure I'm really educating everybody on what it is, giving some background information on the settlement. So let me give you a little bit of this. So the NCAA, along with five major conferences, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the ACC, the Pac-12, and the SEC, and plaintiffs in three antitrust lawsuits related to the athletic compensation agreed to a settlement in May. The deal pays out nearly $3 billion in damages to current and former college athletes who were denied opportunities to cash in on their fame. It also sets up groundbreaking revenue sharing models that will permit schools to direct more than 20 million per year to their athletes. So that's going to be huge, because not only is it talking about the past, but it's talking about the future. And I
Mm,
think that the key part of, like, they're gonna disperse all this money that we, always seen that people weren't getting, athletes weren't getting paid, and we saw how that effect happened, we got to hear. And so now schools are going to be able to disperse some of the money
mm,
to the athletes, and that's going to be big, and that's going to affect recruiting. It's going to affect the transfer portal. It's going to affect all of that stuff. So I think that's going to be big. And my question to you is, how do you think that the settlement will impact the business of college
mm.
athletics?
Yeah, I think that the business will the settlement will it'll ultimately shift college athletics into the realm of how we view professional sports, in the sense that it's going to create a lot of opportunities for individuals that represent institutions, athletic departments. I mean, you're already seeing it now where University of Alabama has a GM of some sort, particularly with the football team, and that they have a particular system. So you're going to start to see institutions invest in creating the teams that can help, not only with managing, the money that's coming in, but also how it's being, spent, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because now, you look at, I think it's becoming, it's like no different from if what we're seeing right now in like the NFL, and how it's stuff similar to, like, how people are saying, like, Bryce Young was mismanaged, or the organization mishandled, the Carolina Panthers mishandled him, and a lot of people are saying that. So we're going to start to view now college institutions and how they manage talent in a very different way, given this settlement. So I think that everything is going to change from a business standpoint, because it's going to be pretty much like how it is in the pros now.
No, I love it. I love it. And the thing that I was thinking about was that where is it at? So over 50% of student athletes who signed an NIL deal expressed a need for better resources and support in understanding the business side. And so it speaks to what you just talked about with them investing in roles within the athletic department.
Right.
One thing that I know we talked about before was it's going to come to the point where it's like managing a cap for, like you said, you got a GM. So it's like you gotta, like, somebody's going to have to be able to manage the money that's being dispersed out. But then, like you said, from a recruiting standpoint, when you think about college football, college basketball, you are trying to get these players in, but you got, like, it's a crapshoot, right? You got to think about, like I said, let's just say a Cam Ward from Miami. Like, you pay that money and it's paying off. But what about if you missed?
Mm,
What if you missed? And like, I think we talked about this before with Florida State, right?
mm,
Florida State, they complained about not getting in the playoffs last year. They campaigned. They probably got a lot of money from the collectives, and they utilized that money this offseason. And they're 0-3, right? And
yep.
so you think about that. That's a miss. Miami got swung big, got Cam Ward, and they won, and it's paying off, and they're seeing the ROI right now, and it's looking
Mm,
like it's going in the right direction. But then you look right up the street, right up in north, and you look at Florida State, and they missed. And so somebody has to account for that money. Somebody has to be held accountable for that money that went out. And now it's no longer amateur hours. Amateur hours is
mhm.
over. I
No,
think it's going to be very important that you have people that can understand how to allocate money, and I think it's also going to be important for evaluation of talent. So I think it's going to be big moving forward with money coming out from the schools. Is going, like, talent evaluation and allocation is going to be
mm.
important.
I think I couldn't have put it any better. I think that you got to have the best of both worlds. You got to have someone that can really have a formula for identifying talent, but on top of that, these other variables from a monetary standpoint, excuse me, are just as valuable. And you also think too. I think that this settlement is also given that institutions are going to be in control of the money. I think that you're going to start to see, more of an arms race. You're going to start to see certain college brands pull away. Just as you mentioned with Cam Ward, and the money that they invested to get him through NIL. I mean, they pulled him out of the NFL draft to come back to school. And
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State has gone public, as far as talking about, their $20 million, recruitment plan through NIL to pretty much revamp the team, or essentially have the team that they have now. So when you think about, the Ohio States, the Miamis, the Texases of the world, the USC's, the major brands, and you can even throw in, it's not even just about, big markets. I mean, you look at
Mm-hmm.
a school like University of Arkansas, for example, in the move that
Yep.
Coach Cal made from Kentucky to Arkansas, and
Yep.
Arkansas has the owners of Walmart behind them, and Tyson's Food,
Yep.
Tyson's family. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to also have to factor in who your donors are now. Who do you have any heavy hitter donors that can really contribute? Particularly as the stat mentioned, as far as like there's been a 25% increase in total deals, since the settlement, particularly in basketball and football. So you think of those prominent sports, those high revenue generating sports like basketball and football. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes up moving forward.
Yeah, and that actually that leads to the next segment, right? So our Dream Big spotlight for this week is Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter just had an amazing weekend, with a touchdown and a pick, same game. Like, he's playing both ways, but you know what? It's contributing, and making him available for opportunities like EA Sports. So EA Sports is redefining athlete partnership by bringing in young stars like Travis Hunter into the spotlight. It's not just about gaming; it's about branding. And with Gen Z fan engagement and the future of digital interaction between the athletes and the fans. And I think the biggest thing with Travis Hunter is just his ability to connect. with Gen Z and the fans. I was reading something about Gen Z sports fans are 40% more likely to engage with athletes through gaming platforms than through traditional media. And what it made me immediately think of is how big streaming is. Think about Twitch. Think about guys like Casanat. You know what I'm saying? Like you got your Aiden Rosses and you got your your AMP family and all those guys. Like this is how this new generation is going about connecting and being a part. Like people watch Casanat stream for 24 hours, like literally, like it's crazy. And so with people like Travis Hunter able to tap in to that from a gaming aspect, he's able to monetize his brand immediately and impactfully. So my question to you is, how are young athletes like Travis Hunter redefining athlete to fan engagement in this digital age? Like, how do you see that going?
Yeah, I see more athletes, taking on or taking on more opportunities to expand their brand within the gaming aspect because it creates a connection between the athlete and just the regular everyday person. Like I feel like not every person can go out and and get two picks in the game and a touchdown and play both sides of the ball like Travis Hunter, but
Right.
people can go out and get a system and stream and get all the things and feel included. And I think that's the whole thing. I think that athletes are gonna on the college and even on the pro level, just looking at the people that have already had success within streaming and in the game world. Even though Kyler Murray, for example, has got a lot of criticism. For his over in his contract, it's like he only game a certain amount. So I think
Yeah.
that even though that clause is there, he still, I believe, has ownership within an esports team or is affiliated or has a partnership of some sort, with an esports team. So you're going to see more of that on both the professional and college level of just like, because everyone games. I mean, even the stat of just the Gen Z, for example, and how pivotal that generation is within social media and technology. Like Gen Z sports fans is 40% more likely to engage with athletes through gaming platforms than traditional media. So
Yeah.
you those typical or those traditional media platforms like an Instagram or Twitter, people are saying, we're not going to go, on those platforms. We're going to go on a Twitch or some type of a streaming platform to connect with these athletes. And I think that we're going to see more of that moving forward.
Yeah, even like TikTok, right? So you got all these
Yeah.
kids, they're doing the TikTok dances, but it's also streaming. Like it's
Right.
also big. They just put their phone up and they literally get on the game and they have conversations and they connect with the fans that way. And
Mm.
you have to think about it from a different aspect of like we didn't have access to our favorite players the way
No.
these kids have access to them. Like
Right.
literally, you can get on the game and play with Ant Man, like, and he's
Mm.
talking noise to you, talking trash to little kids, and
It's
playing the
real.
game with you. Like it's crazy. Like just think about it.
Mm.
We can get on the game with AI and like just talk to them. Like they're so accessible. They are
Right.
so and they're able to show their personality, like
Mm.
it or love it, or like it or
Mm.
hate it. But they're showing their personality, and people are connecting with them. And I think it makes them a lot more vulnerable, but it also makes them a
Mm.
lot more likable. Like people like Ant Man because of his personality. People like
Right.
Ant Man because he's not no clean cut. He's not
Right.
polished. He's not giving you this PC answer. Like just think about him during the Olympics. Like I think that probably boosted his brand even more. Like you got to see him with his idols, but he was just being a kid. He was
Right.
being a kid from Atlanta that was going to like he was happy to play with his favorite players, and now he's out there doing it. He's talking to them like he's just a regular one of the water boys that I pull up on when I'm in Atlanta at the red light. He talking like him. Like he's a 22-year-old kid that is living the dream, and he is being accessible to everybody that he comes in contact with, and it's big.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, and so I know we touched on a lot. This is just the first episode. I want to make sure we get on more, but I want to make sure we stick to our time. and hold on to some of the stuff for next week. We got a lot of stuff planned. I feel like I want to make sure I give you an opportunity to talk about the major takeaways from this episode and what you're looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm more so. I think for me, I think that the landscape is evolving. As far as streaming, and I think that it's going to be a more teams, more professional leagues are going to lean towards the technology platforms to expand their brands and capitalize on different business opportunities. And I think that the NIL landscape is really interesting. Now that with that settlement, even though things are on hold right now, and things are being kind of ironed out there. I think the judge is having to go back to the drawing board, but with the institutions, potentially now paying players, it's like you got to think about other opportunities and as far as building a team. So I think those were my key takeaways. But I just look forward to just being a correspondent for the audience when it comes to different topics and different things, and just helping them stay as informed as we are as these things continue to build throughout the season and going forward. So those are my key
No,
things.
yeah, no, definitely. I love it. I love it. And I think the biggest thing is, our audience. We want to make sure that, all athletes, student athletes, athletic directors, coaches, I want y'all to tap in, make sure that you all are tuning in, because this is where we're going to give a lot of insights on how all these things are affecting the sports industry and how it's going to affect you and how you can learn from it. And we're giving you the hustler's playbook to be successful at the intersection of sports, business, and tech. Tune in every week. We got new episodes dropping on Dream Big Sports. Definitely want to make sure that you're tuning in and getting all the gems and all the information that you can, because we're going to bring it to you raw and uncut. But we're also going to give you some facts. We're going to keep on bringing in guests on our on Powerhouse Conversations episode. But conversation starters, we're looking to bring in new conversations, and this is where we dive in a lot deeper and unpack some of the things that are going on in the sports industry. So until next time, make sure you all like, subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Follow us at Dream Big Fred and at DK Sports 410, the Jersey Sports Network. We'll see you all next week.
Peace.